Yeah, hi. So my name's Buddy King. So I'm a proud Kamilaroi Yorta Yorta man, living over here in Port Macquarie, beautiful Biripi country over on the east coast of Australia. Um, yeah, so my family originate on my mum's side from a little town called Angledore, which is north of Lightning Ridge, and on the New South Wales Queensland border. And Dad's side is Aboriginal mission on called Cumbragunja Mission, which is on the Murray River, which is down on the New South Wales Victorian border. So that's my family. So yeah, I'm talking to you guys about the likes of artifacts, Aboriginal artifacts, and how they were used back in the day. What the science, what the science of that is, how we can sort of use them in back in the day, and what are some of the modern tools that are used as well. So. Yes, I have, and I've got a story about my old auntie, poor thing. So my pop was out on the oval when we used to live in Durumbandy. And anyway, he threw the boomerang, and as he threw it, my auntie come running up as a kid, she come running up to him. And as the boomerang was coming back, he's tried to get her out of the way. And as he's trying to get her out of the way, the boomerang hit her fair in the head. And yeah, she never went back out there again. But yes, a boomerang, and I've done that as well. I've thrown a boomerang and it's come back to me. It hasn't hit anyone, unlike my old auntie, but yes, it has come back. In a sense of preserving. So what we want to do is we don't ever want to run out of food either. So one thing that we also like to do is, well, we've got a big patch of land. So as I mentioned, proud Kamilaroi boy. So Kamilaroi is actually the second biggest Aboriginal nation within New South Wales. And one of the things that we want to do with that is we don't want to eat all the food, like the fish, the animals, all the fruits and the berries in the one spot. So what we do is we do gather in the one spot and eat as much as we as we can, but to also preserve it by not eating everything. And then once we feel like we're getting low on our food sources, we move on to the next spot, which is maybe a couple of hundred kilometers away to the next spot where the fruits and the berries and the animals are plentiful. And then in that time we go to that spot, then we'll go to another spot, and then we will return back to that first spot. And in that time when we return, all the animals have grown, they've actually reproduced, and there's more fruit and berries around. So that's how we sort of make sure that we don't run out of food on our own country. So yeah, this is about myself. So one of the things that I've been doing is my art page is called Warrabar Strength, and that's Warrabar for us in my language in Uelare is turtle, and turtle is my totem on both my mum and my dad's side. So that's how I come about to be Warrabar Strength. And as I mentioned, that's where all my family are from. So this is what we call a woomera. So woomera, some people may or may not know it, but a woomera is for us to assist with putting it on the spear to give that more strength and more speed to be able to throw that spear a lot further and a lot harder to be able to hunt an animal or be able to sneak up and not be as close to an animal to scare it off. So that's what a woomera is for. And I'll just flick to the next slide. As you can see, this is what the woomera is used for. He's attached that to the end of the spear, and he's able to throw that spear a lot further than if he was to throw it without it. Modern day use, so very much this is what a ball launcher for when you want to throw the ball to your dog. So this is a very similar style of a woomera where you've got a bit of a length and it's a lot longer to be able to throw that ball further so the dog can run further. to get that ball. So that's one of the things that's very similar to the woomera that we use today. And a lot of the kids might actually have seen that or used it themselves. These are the boomerangs. So boomerangs come in all shapes, sizes, timbers. As you can see up the top, they're the more natural boomerangs. So some of these boomerangs will come back to you, and some are shaped in that normal boomerang shape, as we all know. But some of them are different shapes as well, and those different shapes and also sizes, and even the heavy wood is also used for hunting to be able to feed our families. So that's one of the reasons why the boomerang is shaped in different shapes, and not all boomerangs do come back. So, and as you can see down the bottom in those pictures, people now just have boomerangs in the house just as decorations, but also as, just to show that some artifacts we get some artifacts as well to be able to do that. But these boomerangs are also made out of the timber called acacia, which is what we also know as gidgee. So they're the harder ones. But also you got some wattle as well as some gum. So there's all different types of wood you can use for a boomerang, and it also depends on what you're using it for. If you want a hard wood to be able to hurt the animal for food, or if you just want it to come back, you need a little bit lighter wood. Bundis, all these bundis here in front of us is very similar to a club as well. So they're also used for hunting. In the middle and on the right, those timbers are mallee, so it's another eucalyptus. And on the left, it's a wattle. So that wattle is a lot lighter, but it still packs a punch if someone was to hit it against a hand or hit it against an animal. That's just been cut off there a little bit, but on that middle one, it's actually a nice sharp point, and that's to be able to also use by putting your hand on top and then putting that pointy end into the ground to be able to dig and collect yams and other type of fruits and berries to be able to do that as well. So these is what we call our coolamons. So with our coolamons on the left, that's shaped, sanded right back compared to the one on the right. So they're actually from the same tree, and that tree is a grey gum. So I've used grey gum to be able to make these ones. And as you can see, it's just the normal shape of the tree. That is the bark. So we don't actually use wood of the tree. We just use the bark to cut the bark out. You'll see in the next few slides of what that is, but that's the natural shape after I've just cut it off the tree. And the one on the left is a bit of work done to it to sand it right back. And coolamons are used for collecting berries, fruits, but also preparing meat, and just be able to prepare food to be able to, feed our families. The real big coolamons are actually for and lined with kangaroo or possum skins to be able to put our newborn babies in, to be able to, like a cot. So they're the sort of things that we use those coolamons for as well. So there's different things to be able to use our coolamons for. So this is what I was talking about. So this is a grey gum. As you can see on the left, I've gone around that tree in that shape to be able to create that shape. And then on the right, I've gone around it that second time. And if you can see the difference between the left picture and the right picture, on the right side, after it's gone around the second time, it's coming off the tree a little bit. You can see that coolamon starting to come off that tree. And this is how the coolamon is cut off. So that's a different tree. So that's a bit of a scribbly bark, as you can see on the bottom right of that left picture. You can see the scribbles in that bark. So that's a scribbly bark tree, scribbly gum. And that's the coolamon just pops straight off. And you can see the difference in the colours, where that lighter color is actually the part that was the last part that was stuck to that tree. So that's the hardest part to sort of get off. So when that pops off, that's why that's a different color. So we all know, most of us know this shape, and DeadlyScience have made made that demo of that with the fish traps. So this is what we call the Brewarrina fish traps. So as you can see, it's really hard to see in this picture, but on the right-hand side, down the bottom, there's actually a man in the fish traps trying to collect fish. So how it works, you got all these shapes that are put into the river by rocks, sticks, to be able to capture the fish that's coming down the river. And with the rocks and the sticks, they're able to, make holes big enough for the smaller fish to get out. So the bigger fish are captured and then going in to be collected, like that man is on the right-hand side. So that's one of the oldest man-made fish traps or, construction known to man as well. So that's pretty special, and that's based in Brewarrina in New South Wales. But there's also other fish traps around as well. Even nearby, Collarinabri has got fish traps very similar too. So that's something very special to be able to just make something that our people just capture fish and be able to use it without fishing rods or spears to be able to do that. It's just going in and collecting that fish that get caught up into those traps. And here we have our didgeridoos, or our yidakis as we call them. So as you can see on the right-hand side, they're actually didgeridoos that are just blank and just cut from the tree. So the didgeridoos are actually made from actual trunks of the trees. So the trunk, sometimes they flare out at the bottoms, which is where we get those bell ends. And you might see that in one of that left-hand picture, that second didgeridoo is down the bottom. That's actually like a bell end. So that's also the root system of the tree, and that makes that bell. And some didgeridoos are actually a lot thicker as well. And as you can see with that one with the rainbow serpent wrapped around it, that's actually still a part of the tree. It's that thick that we had to sort of shave it back to also not only make it lighter, but we can, create shapes like that into it as well. And sometimes we've got the top, so the mouthpiece of the didgeridoo is also too big. So traditional ways we would do resin would be from the spinifex, but also the bees wax that would also do that. But now some people are using epoxy resin, but also gluing other smaller pieces of didgeridoo to the mouthpiece to be able to create that smaller piece. And what everyone always asks is how the didgeridoo gets hollowed. So we actually cheat and use our the white ants, so the termites actually go in and hollow out that trunk of the tree to be able to create that hole right down the middle. So we don't actually go in and cut it open or anything like that. So that's all made and all done by our termites. So they do all the hard work for us. So and as you can see, there's a big process going from the right being the blank didgeridoo to actually have the instrument be able to play. So it's, and as you know, it's a beautiful sound, that didgeridoo. So these are what we call our clapsticks. So we use our clapsticks as well in ceremonies. The ones on the right, so they're actually made out of that hardwood gidgee that I was talking about. So, and put that artwork on. So this is more used to just display around the home, because you don't want to chip or destroy that artwork. But on the left, that's that plain natural clapstick as well. So as you can see, there's actually 2 lots of timber in that as well. So the darker timber is that gidgee again, and the lighter stuff is that wattle. So that also makes different sounds because the hardwood is a lot harder, and when you hit it together, it's more like steel. But then you've got the lighter wood that's not as loud, but it's and it doesn't, sound exactly like the gidgee. It depends on what you really want. And there's different ways to do it. So those ones are literally cut straight in half because the wood was actually really thick. But you can have those thinner branches as well and leave them whole. So it depends on what sort of sound you want to be able to make and create. So it depends on your actual nation's, traditions as well. Like with my country as well, being Camilla and Yorta Yorta, our women aren't supposed to, play the didgeridoo. But in saying that, to my knowledge and what was passed on to me was, they were allowed to touch it, but not allowed to play it. But there's some traditions where they say you can't touch or play it. So that's one of the things where you need to sort of make sure that you're aware of what your traditions within your family and your nation is as well in your community, so that you're not doing the wrong thing. But it varies. So my grandfather and my old uncle, his brother, Harry Hall, they were very, very big advocates of Aboriginal people, and they were one of the big pushers for, especially Uncle Harry, with the referendum. So the change of the referendum. So prior to 1967, we as Aboriginal people were classified as flora and fauna. So we weren't even classified as humans. So we had, what's the bus called? Freedom Riders. So we had the Freedom Riders bus that was done with Charlie Perkins. So Charlie Perkins, to be able to do that was, Uncle Harry, who was based in Walgett, he got Charlie Perkins to be able to, in that community to be able to do his thing as well. So Charlie Perkins had a lot of help, and Uncle Harry was one of those helpers. And given that he was a big, for me, he was a big role model for me to be able to, and fight for Aboriginal rights, but also to know and fight for our culture to be able to be, taught and learnt today, because even back in the day, you weren't even allowed to teach it or even talk your language. And it's a lot different now. So for me, my pop and probably Uncle Harry Hall, who assisted with the Freedom Riders, would be my inspiration.